one, and we'll get into that in detail. Mark Kirk, I thought, had an interesting line. He's a senatorial candidate from Illinois, and he said, look, this European debt crisis is a warning of things to come. So they had set up almost like the perfect nanny state in Greece. First of all, they gave, cradle to grave, early retirement, great benefits, lots of time off. So they had to put in place some austerity measures so that they can get this bailout. Well, as a result, what do we see? We see violence in the streets when they said, well, hang on a second, there's going to be some pay cuts here, although not dramatic, some pension reform here, not dramatic. They're going to increase the value-added tax to 23%. They're going to increase energy, gas prices on top of everything. It seems to me this is the direction America's now headed.
I can only tell you what sophisticated investors say, and they do worry that in the midst of massive debts that we have just signed on to a massive new entitlement in health care, and that is from not just Republican conservative money managers. People that voted for Obama have told me that this is crazy, and they are extrapolating from Greece a certain extent here. They're saying this is where we're going, and if we don't stop, and by the way, think about it, what are we going to do to stop to pay for this debt? Okay, we're going to say we do the value-added tax. Well, what's that going to do for the economy?
All right,
it's not a good thing.
All right, let's talk about worst-case scenario, how bad it can get. Because, look, England has similar problems to Greece. Europe has similar problems to Greece.
Portugal, Spain. Ireland, a lot of countries.
All these countries are having these problems. They have massive debt, massive entitlements. Right. Now the United States is moving in that direction. So why would you think, anything other than the predictable result of what we see happening there? How bad can it get?
Well, look, the lesson is, don't go there, right? You saw what happened in Greece.
That ship has passed. Barack Obama has already spent the money.
I mean, this is really. Listen. The U.S. is not Greece, but the bottom line is we are slowly becoming a nanny state, which all these other countries are right now. And we're copying their model. And I'll tell you, listen, you're going to hear a lot of the bulls tomorrow in the market saying, "Oh, this was a glitch. Some guy with fat fingers pressed the wrong button." Yeah, that's why it went down 900 points. But you have to ask yourself, why did it go down initially 250, and why was it off 6% over this? Why should we care about Greece that much?
No, well, because it's
related.
It's related.
Yes.
It's a global economy. I want to go back to the protesters for just a second here, because it's getting violent. What fascinated me is they purposefully attack anything representing capitalism. I mean, that was how one of the articles described it today. So you got all this violence. We've got 50% of American households that don't pay any federal income tax. So we have redistribution of the wealth now. It's only going to get worse. We got taxes that are going up, entitlements that are out of control. Social Security is going to be in the red this year. Medicare's going bankrupt. $1 trillion deficits as far as the eye can see. So, I mean, is this 10 years down the road? Does this happen in America when the government says we can't afford this? We can't fulfill our promise on Social Security, health care, Medicare, and everything else. What's going to be the result of the people in this country?
Well, I think that's a great question.
Or the reaction?
The reaction, I think people will be angry. They'll be mad if they get used to that. The problem is you create a society that's built on that. People get used to that kind of treatment. That's what they want, then they protest.
Although we do have elections. We have midterm elections where, I mean, this country is a different country. We change political parties often in terms of ruling
Great
Congress.
Britain's in the midst of doing it tonight.
I will say one other thing which is interesting about this. Greece got in the EU by hiding its debt levels, by dealing with some Wall Street firm and doing some finagle deal where they hid it. We do a lot of that, too. We don't know. We use Social Security slush funds to make up for our deficit, to basically make it look lower. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, not exact, but a lot of similarities between where we're going and what we do and what they do.
The gold standard of the credit rating agency is Moody's Investors Service, okay? Right. We all know this. They said that if current Congressional Budget Office projections hold, 2018 lights up as the year that the U.S. could be in line for a downgrade, in other words, our bonds. Moreover, they also project that literally we will be paying, our debt service could hit 22.4% of the revenue that the federal government takes in. That's 25% of our revenue, tax revenue to the government is going to go to pay its debt service.
Suppose the Chinese stop buying our bonds. It's going up. Then you have interest rates go through the roof. I mean, that's the problem. That's why we're playing with fire here with all these new entitlements. When you have this much debt and you have essentially one buyer, the Chinese, I mean, they could balk and they could force us to pay much, much more in debt service, more than that, and now.
Well, let's talk about the balance sheet of consumers, though, because they're going to be putting this bill through more and more taxes. They can't afford it either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
All right. What do we expect tomorrow? Because a lot of people are looking at this. Look at what happened today. As you said, I think they're going to. I think your spin is absolutely right. They go, oh, some guy with fat fingers hit the wrong button.
People will buy.
I hit a B instead of an M. Sorry, accident. Ignoring the connection to the global economy.
Well,
like, look, for example, the housing bubble impacted.
Right.
You know, across the Atlantic.
Right.
Is what's happening now in Europe going to impact the U.S.?
Well,
and what happens tomorrow?
I heard the word Lehman Brothers today a few times where, I mean, I heard this, didn't get it confirmed, that banks over there can't roll over their commercial paper which fund their operations. That's really bad. Then you do see a banking crisis that's exploding, and then it hits us.
You know, consumers you're invested in funds that invest in companies all over the planet. We are invested individually in these countries, as are the banks that serve us. So I see lots of connections.
All right, guys, good to see you. Appreciate it. Well, it appears